by saying no to things, you're also signaling to the universe that yes, I am ready to elevate, I'm ready to heal, I have healed, I've done the work, I'm ready to move on. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have tried to film this video, like the intro of it, like 3 or 4 times now, and I just get like so incredibly rambly because it's a topic that like is new to this channel and I just want to articulate it really well, but I'm gonna try to nail it this time. Also, if you guys hear like background noise, like other people are home, and sorry about that, so I'm gonna try to like work through it. You know, these are the cards I've been dealt, and I just was like excited about today's video, and it's something I really want to talk about and share and kind of get into on my channel more of these kind of like self-help spirituality videos, but not in a way that's like woo-woo or like lucky girl syndrome or just something that feels like an aesthetic. I want it to be like practical and grounded and like actually give you a pathway to improve your life or your spiritual healing or whatever journey you're on in this lifetime. Like, I just want to be of assistance and kind of like that. I've always just been a teacher. I've always just been someone who like likes to break down concepts for people and tell people about it, and YouTube is a great channel, great pathway for that. So yeah. Also, look how freaking cute my sweater is. This is like what I recently got in my haul and I love it so much. So I just had to show you. How does it make any possible sense in the world that by saying no, you're gonna get what you want? At face value, it doesn't make any sense, but let's dig deeper into it and I will kind of like tie it all together in a nice little bow for you guys to kind of like break down and understand. I first want to start off with materialism. Obviously, I'm not a huge fan of like materialism and having a ton of possessions. Not to say that I'm a minimalist, like in the slightest, minimalist, like at all in the slightest, but at the same time, I do understand how having a lot of an excess of materials and possessions can like really weigh you down in the long run and be more of a burden than something that brings joy. Marie Kondo talks about this in her book that I haven't read, but I've heard a lot about, so it feels like I have read it. But just like having so many things that you have to keep track of is a really difficult task mentally, and then it also takes up so much space physically that it can really become something that makes you feel stressed, cramped, disorganized, just kind of all over the place. The way I look at it is like, you can say no to those things. You don't always have to be so open to like a gift per se, or seeing that there's a sale on your favorite website but like you weren't even shopping in the first place. Like, those are things you can shut down. You always have the option to say like no to the physical possessions and say like thank you so much for thinking of me, or like even telling yourself like I just don't need more stuff, I don't need anything else. And saying like if someone wants to get you a gift and they've been asking you like, hey, like I don't really need anything, but if you want to take me out to dinner or to get a coffee, like you're a treat, or here's a charity that I'm really interested in, if you could donate in my name. Like, obviously those are more like gift specific, but even just in your day-to-day of like, I have come up against like my roommates and we would do clothing swaps all the time, and sometimes they would just like be giving clothes away and I'd always like rummage through, not needing anything, but just like wanting to see if there's anything there and being open to like taking it on, even if I truly didn't have the space, or maybe it didn't even like really fit my style, but I thought I'm gonna take this anyway because it's a new thing, it's shiny, it's fun, like it's, but the novelty of it like wears off, I'm telling you. So if it's not something you've deliberated on and you truly want to give access of yourself to it, then like why are you entertaining something that is going to possibly drain you even further than what you can afford, really? Obviously that happens in things of like material possessions, but then think about like a car or an apartment or a house, and then you get this nice car, but then you have to pay the insurance, you have to pay the gas or the electric bill, and then maybe you want like a parking spot if you're in the city, or having to put it somewhere like building a nice garage. Like, all of these things then come attached to this one thing that you said yes to, that then opens the door to so many other things that you may not have premeditated or expected, and then they come up and you also have to take care of that because that just comes with the territory. And then like a house or an apartment, okay, you get this house, you get this nice house, and then you have to fill it with things. You don't have to fill it with things, but you most likely are going to want to make it homey, make it cozy, make it yours, give it your own personal touch and design. Well, of course, I'm not saying like say no to having a house. I'm saying say no to excess. Say no to things that are going to drain you more than they're going to fulfill you, because you're going to have to keep up with them, rather than having it and having it make you feel safe and secure and comfortable. You're having it just to say that you have it, if that makes sense. I think we've probably all been at a point in our lives where maybe you say yes to the big vacation because you deserve a vacation, and that is totally fine and totally fair, but do you need to go to the most expensive resort or the furthest destination? Or do you need to find business? Like, do you need that extra checked bag? It's these little things that you're saying yes to that feel good in the moment and feel good to have.
And even going back to the whole social media part of it, maybe it's just something you bought or did or had that experience just to share with your followers, share with your community, share with people that you know, just to kind of like show off that you did it, that you bought the thing, that you went on the vacation, that you traveled far, that you have XYZ now, like the nice car, nice house, whatever. That kind of plays into it as well. And those are the kinds of things you should say no to, because they don't leave room for other more enjoyable experiences for yourself, for what you truly want.
But come the next few weeks when your credit card bill is due, you're gonna be like, shit, this is like so much more than I anticipated. It didn't feel like a big decision in the moment, but here I am now, and I feel like I'm lacking rather than I'm feeling fulfilled. And even having like a lot of clothes, I barely briefly touched on this, but like it cramps up your space physically. Like, yes, there may be a big sale and you may say yes to the sale and buy 10 things and add it to your cart, and then they come the next week, but then, you know, you wear them 2 or 3 times and they just sit in your closet and collect dust. Or same thing with like skincare or beauty, like you try it a few times and then you're like, whatever, forget about it. But it still sits there. It holds energy, and it's taking up energy in your space and in your mental that you could release and kind of focus in other places, but ties you up in your possessions. And I think a big thing about materialism and possessions that like we kind of all fall into it. It's just honestly something that it's hard to avoid with social media and people constantly like showing you what they have, and then you think, as a human, you know, we're social creatures, we want to match what other people have. And it's part of our biology, it's part of, you know, who we are as humans, but it's gotten to this point where I think we've lost touch of where our ancestors were 200 years ago. Like, only really in the past 150 years have we like really come so far in terms of like progress, evolution. We evolutionary are still the same beings that we were 200 years ago, but we've lost so much touch with that, and we've let our lives become crowded by saying yes to things all the time, because truly what that comes from is a lack mindset, and that comes from, evolutionarily speaking, you don't know when your next meal is going to come from. Like, you're going to have to hunt, or maybe there's a famine on the farm, or like something that we just don't really have to account for in our modern day lives, and that we truly just don't understand that part of ourselves, or it feels irrelevant to us now because we aren't our ancestors on the farm or living off the land, so we don't have to worry about that kind of thing. But we still say yes out of the same evolutionary lack that we have felt. Evolutionary lack? I don't know, there's a word. By saying yes to allowing more things to come into your life, you're also allowing those things to take up more of your focus and energy and literal space, and letting their energy kind of crowd and potentially overwhelm yours. And I'm not saying by watching this video you're gonna solve that problem, but part of it is being aware of it. Like myself, I love fashion, I love clothes, but I also know I can't continue to take if I'm not like also giving and releasing and kind of purging, but also not in a way that's going to be so wasteful where like I'm clogging up landfills just by my consumption and like just offloading clothes continuously and constantly trying to follow trends. Like, I try to incorporate and infuse a lot of classic and traditional pieces into my wardrobe. And then if I really want something that like I feel like is something I'm gonna wear time and time again, like even the sweater, it's like, I guess you could consider it trendy. I don't really know what trend it follows, but it's not the most classic piece, but it's something I feel like I'll wear time and time again because it brings me joy and I love it so much. Also, we aren't meant to own and possess these big, huge things. Again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier about we're just like not meant to have so much stuff, like just overwhelmingly. And I think it's really a challenge to get back into touch with that side of ourselves of just like, okay, I have my necessities and I have things that get me through life day by day, and I have my securities and my comforts. But to overindulge in that is just to waste your energy and waste your hard-earned money on things that like just aren't giving you joy in the long run, and if anything are stealing joy from your future because you have to pay upfront cost for them now, or maybe a credit card bill or whatever. And I get it, saying no can be very difficult, especially when it comes to like social planning or social obligations or any sort of interaction with like other people. And some people might be a little bit quicker to say no than others. Some people are a bit more like firm rooted. They kind of know what they want already from the jump, or know what hanging out with certain kind of people will get them, or like what kind of interaction they're bound to have. But I also think things in life of like, I don't know, saying no to going out to a dinner if you just like really don't want to spend the money and you feel like your time and energy could be better spent somewhere else, or saying no to watching a football game, saying no to an appointment that you don't want to keep. I feel like after the recession, I don't know why that's like popping up in my mind, the Great Recession in 2008, people were a lot more pushed to say yes to things, like yes to opportunities, because the idea or the thinking was kind of like, you never know when it could be your last, like we don't know if this is gonna happen again, so have fun, go out, do things like while you can. But I really think that's like an invasion of like our sacred space in a certain way of like, now you're just saying yes to things and that's become the social norm just to go and do and expend your energy, when honestly some of us are just saying yes out of a sense of obligation versus, again, this is something that is going to bring me joy. And hanging out with certain kinds of people or being in certain groups or affiliations, like they can be damaging even if you feel like I'm just saying yes out of obligation. And this also goes to people that are like trying to make sales, or maybe you're setting up meetings, or maybe networking or something like that. Like if you don't want to be involved with something or someone or some group or some activity, you can say no, and that is going to be more true to your authentic self. Save your energy for yourself and just be someone that stands in their power and stands in their authenticity and knows what they want out of life. Obviously, navigating like being a teen, early adulthood, you're probably more prone to saying yes and being like a people pleaser of sorts, and that's really kind of what I'm touching on, is like it's okay to say no, and you're reserving more energy for yourself to kind of go within, see what you really love, what you like to do, and go from there, versus kind of like being on people's whim and like just going along with what they want to do, what they say. Like you're not allowing yourself any sort of room for growth if you're not going within time to time, versus like constantly hanging out with people that just fill the space, you know what I mean? Like if those people weren't around, what would you be filling your time with? What does bring you joy? And if you don't know, maybe it's time to start saying no to things that don't instantly spark joy and instantly spark some sort of excitement, so that way you can kind of find it on your own and be not self-sustaining in a way, because we do need relationships and fulfilling ones, but that way you can determine which ones are fulfilling and what people are people that you do want to keep into your life. Obviously, this is a little tricky if you've already committed yourself to something and then you say no. That's obviously, I wouldn't recommend saying yes to something and then not following through, but I do get that it is hard when you do first start to say no, that sometimes you might instinctively say yes to something and give it like a few days thought and then want to say no. And if there are like, you know, no penalties in place for doing that, then like obviously go ahead. But I think it's important, as soon as you realize that you want to say no, or you want to retract the offer, or you want to, you know, cancel the date or whatever it is, that you let that person or people or group know like as soon as possible. That way, if it's like a ticketed event or something, you can like possibly sell it or get your money back. Or if it's like a social obligation, you just let them know, hey, like I said yes, but I realize like I'm super busy, or that I just don't have the energy to do that, or, you know, I'm actually really trying to save money or something like that. Obviously, there's a way to navigate it versus just like canceling on someone the day before or even the day of. Like, that can be really rude and people won't really take to that as well. But I think maybe not saying yes instinctively, but being like, yeah, let me think about it, like thank you for the invite. I always make it very well known that I'm appreciative for the invite, I'm appreciative for the invitation, like thank you for thinking of me. But if it's like a big party where people are like drinking and doing drugs or something, like that's just not the kind of energy I always want to be surrounded by. Like, yes, I can have fun and let loose, but it doesn't need to be like in that capacity with those kind of influences. And that's something like I know within myself. But when I was younger, I was just kind of like, let's see what happens tonight. Like, I don't know, like let's do it. And then kind of having that exposure, but then also having the times when I said no and I was like, wow, I'm really glad I didn't go out tonight or like do anything tonight. Like having that kind of like experience, but then allowing myself to say no and not feeling ostracized or like that I was going to be left out, like also was allowing me to grow in that way. And I think there is like a kind of financial undertone to everything that I've said thus far, whether it be like energetically, possession wise, like materially, mentally. Like if you are safe, sound, and comfortable and not overspending or overextending yourself and your energies to go out to dinner, go out to party, get gifts for people, buy things just because they're on sale, or buy the biggest car and then pay insurance and like whatever, all of that, if you're not overextending and constantly saying yes, you're also obviously saving money. Maybe you have goals in mind that you want to save for a big vacation, or save to move, or save for XYZ. Like if you have that long-term goal and you're not saying yes to every little thing that comes your way, you're much more likely to meet that goal. So what I learned from Nisha, she's a financial YouTuber, she recommends making a long-term plan and like goal and like laying it out. And when you get confronted with a sort of decision, you look at your long-term plan, you say, does this align with that? Does saying yes to this align with that long-term plan I have? And it's either yes or no. If it's yes, okay, fine. If it's no, don't do it. Simple as that. Easier said than done, but I just thought those are really great kind of like roadmap and easy way to stay on track for those sorts of things. So yeah, like everything I've mentioned so far does have this kind of like financial undertone to it. And I think that's easily recognizable. Like you're buying less stuff and you're saying no to it, you save money. Like it's simple as that. But also spiritually, the universe will constantly test you, and things in the universe, I've seen like a graphic of like, you're not going in circles, you're kind of like spiraling upwards or downwards, not downwards, but you're spiraling upwards. Like you're on a path of like, think of like a parking garage that just kind of like spirals. It feels like you're going in circles, but you're actually elevating. But typically what happens is like certain checkpoints in your journey that feels like you're going in circles. Oh, why is this happening again to me? Why is this coming up again? I thought I took care of this. I thought I was healed. I thought this was settled. You're being met with those checkpoints and those tests to see if you really are going to say no and rise to the occasion, or put it to bed, like really leave it behind you. So like, let's say, here's a really good example. Let's say you break up with someone. That was your first time telling them like, no, like you're out of my life, right? Then 3 months comes by and they hit you up and you guys go out, you know, get a drink, get back together, whatever. Then the cycle keeps going, right? Okay, you keep going down this path, down this journey. You decide to break up again. Okay, fine. Then you're met with, they hit you back up 3 months later. And then you have the choice to say, yes, let's get together, or no, I'm leaving in the past. So you say no this time. And then another 3 months rolls around and they hit you up again. You might feel like, oh my God, why don't they get the message? This just keeps happening, like we're going in circles here. But that's the universe testing you to be like, okay, you said no once, but did you really mean it? And it's up to you, yes or no. And it's like kind of frustrating and infuriating in a way, but it's the universe's way of really testing you to see if you've really grown past that point or past that version of yourself, if you've really done the work that you need to, if you've really healed in that kind of way. Like, again, it can be really frustrating, and it can be just like, ugh, why is this happening again? But there is always a reason to why you're being met with certain tests, and it's just see, like, are you really ready to elevate and move past that old version of yourself? Not saying that old version of yourself is a bad person, bad version or anything. It's just like there are times and places when it's time to elevate past it, but the only way to do that is to release things and move past them. And typically when it comes to the universe, that comes in the form of a test. By saying no to things, you're also signaling to the universe that yes, I am ready to elevate, I'm ready to heal, I have healed, I've done the work, I'm ready to move on. As frustrating as it may be, as infuriating as it may be, as hard as it may be to just say no, and things that are coming up time and time again, like, you can just trust and believe that it is out of your interest for your future self and your path and your journey here on this earth. And just being grateful that you are even in this life form, in this body, on this plane of existence, in this time frame, and being met with these tests to just continually level up. And again, start getting like everything that you want in life. When you start saying no to the bullshit and no to the things that don't matter and aren't gonna further you as a person or make you grow, make you think, challenge you in a way that like is better for your expansion, you're on the path. You're on the path that you need to be on. It's obviously always going to be a work in progress, like I know it is within myself. Again, my vice is fashion and clothing, but I'm not just gonna like take if I also am not like releasing and letting go of things that no longer serve me, no longer bring me joy. I'm obviously not the kind of person that's just gonna dump them in the landfill. I'm gonna try to get rid of them like responsibly or resell them. But at the same time, like, I'm aware that this is something that I could be saying no to more often to kind of like further my other goals in life. And it's like a challenge, it's a test, and I keep getting tested by it. But it's up to me if I'm growing and elevating or if I'm falling back into it. And I'm the only person that can like make that decision and make that growth. And that goes for anything in life, not just like this one specific thing that I'm talking about, but for everything. Yeah, saving your energy and saying no to things, that way you can like say hell yes to things that you really do want and have the energy to do, is just gonna really further you in life and just help you actually accomplish the goals that you've had your sights set on, now that you aren't weighed down by any of like this mental clutter or these social obligations, and you're just like feeling dragged down, you don't feel joy, you just feel like you're going through the motions. Start saying no to some things and see where that gets you, see where that lands you. If you feel lighter, if you feel better, if you feel more focused, more calm, more in a secure state. If that's the case, if you do start to feel, keep following it, you know? That's the best you can do, is listen to your intuition, listen to your body, and go with them. I know this was maybe a little bit all over the place and definitely different than videos that I usually film, but again, I want to give kind of like practical, grounded ways to just like elevate your life, not something that's like, oh, I manifested for 30 days and now I live in a mansion. Like, that's just not realistic for most of us, and that's not even what most of us want. What most of us want is like security, peace, happiness, to be kind people, to spread love, and do something we're passionate about. And I feel like that's doesn't have to be exuberant, doesn't have to be luxurious, it doesn't have to be crazy, but I do think social media has kind of like warped our view of like spirituality and manifestation and just like being on earth. I think people have this idea of like it needs to be super wildly aesthetic and like look a certain way, and you need to have certain things, and it's just not the case to have like an enjoyable existence on this planet in this lifetime. But that's what it looks like to a lot of people. I recognize that. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you like this kind of style video, these kind of topics, let me know down below in the comments or by giving this video a big thumbs up. And if you do, you can definitely subscribe for more. I post every Sunday, so you can definitely stick around and see my upcoming videos. And there's also going to be a video at the very end of this one recommended just for you that you should stick around and watch. Hopefully this becomes like a regular talking series on my video, because it's something I'm passionate about and definitely think is of interest to people. If not, correct me if I'm wrong, but most people do want to live a good life, okay? I'll see you guys in my next video. Until then, don't forget to be kind to yourself, others, and the planet. Bye.